E3 2018 really didn't fail to disappoint. There were so many big games such as Kingdom Hearts 3, Cyberpunk 2017, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Jump Force, just countless games from that event that many people were excited to hear about, but there were also some titles that never got mentioned that many people were wondering about, such as the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I mean, that was a big one that was kind of left off of E3 2018 a couple of weeks back, and there are some people who are just questioning, how far along is Square Enix in development in relation to the Final Fantasy VII Remake. In terms of the way the game is going to be remade, it's interesting because the remake for Final Fantasy VII is going to be a little bit different in terms of gameplay, because instead of using the active time battle system that was used in the original PS1 version of the game, this version, the remake, is going to have more of an it's going to be more of an action, RPG type of game. And I don't know, some argue that, just changing the way it's from the original, the gameplay from the original may end up affecting, the overall success of the game, because the original game, when it came out on the PS1, it sold over 9.7 million units worldwide, and I believe it was the second best-selling game behind Gran Turismo. And Final Fantasy VII in its entirety, along with the PS1, it being available on PC for Steam and the PlayStation Network, sold over 11 million units, overall. But just changing the gameplay, I don't think it's going to make a significant difference. In fact, looking at the screenshots and the gameplay and all that stuff, the gameplay for the remake actually looks better than the original. Especially the graphics and the visuals, thanks to the Unreal Engine 4. It looks phenomenal, and there was many people who was hoping that the Final Fantasy VII Remake would be coming out sometime, late this year or whatever, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. I mean, it could possibly happen. We never know, depending on how things are moving, and in terms of in terms of development and where Square Enix is at, because I believe the game's director, Tesuya Nomura, he basically said in an interview that things are moving along faster than expected, or good progress is being made. But in terms of Final Fantasy VII, the remake not being at E3 2018, it was probably because Square Enix wanted to place more emphasis on other projects such as Kingdom Hearts 3, which we do know the release date of. In terms of when Final Fantasy VII, the remake is going to come out, if things are moving along as fast as the director says it is, we could possibly see it most likely in 2019. For those who are fans of the game over 20 years ago, and for those who have never played it and it's just fans of the Final Fantasy series in general, you just get into it, the Final Fantasy VII Remake is a game that that's definitely worth buying, because especially if you own a PS4, mainly because it's going to be available exclusively for the PS4 as of right now, because it hasn't been confirmed whether or not it'll appear on the Xbox One, or whether or not there'll be a PC version of the game. But it's most likely going to be one of the biggest RPG titles on the PS4, alongside with Kingdom Hearts 3, which is set to be released in 2019. But in terms of just being a little bit being a little bit late in terms of not having a exact release date, or not knowing where exactly Square Enix is in terms of development, I think it's just the company didn't have much time to really turn its attention to try and develop Final Fantasy VII, the remake, because they were working on so many other things. But I wouldn't be surprised if we ended up seeing the remake sometime. It will at least before the end of 2020, because judging on what we've seen, it seemed like Square Enix is making good progress, and it seems like we may end up seeing the game sooner than expected.